Here's something you probably didn't expect from Base Fossil Revisited in 2025. Grass! What may be more expected is the fact that there's not any grass energy in this deck. As we've already seen with Arcanine, the color of the card does not have to match the color of the energy in the deck. Sometimes, you just slap a brand new color into a Psychic deck. And Exeggitor is a Psychic type, so maybe it gets a pass. Venus Center was a fun setup for Exeggitor, but the core of the deck was a little overly reliant on Pokemon Center and Scoop Up. And in this current metagame, we know what happens to decks that are overly reliant on trainer cards. The slow, methodical nature of an Energy Trans deck is a bit more playable now, especially if you load your deck full of Pokemon that just want one energy attached to them anyway, like Lickitung. But Grass doesn't have a lot of versatility in it, even if you do factor in all of these usable normal types. Psychic does, which is why it's played so much. When we're looking at a card like Exeggitor that is a grass type card, but doesn't require any grass energy, it actually benefits more from having Psychic energy on it so that it can utilize Teleport. You start to wonder why you just don't slap that Psychic package around this tri-faced palm tree and call it a day. The draw of Exeggitor is the potential damage you can deal with Big Eggsplosion. You flip a number of coins equal to the number of energy attached to Exeggitor, not energy cards, energy, and this attack does 20 damage times the number of heads. A lot of attacks you see like this won't require a coin flip, but they do place a ceiling on it, like Blastoise's Hydro Pump. It'll say you can't deal more than 20 extra damage this way. Big Explosion does not have a cap. So the more damage you stack on here, the higher chance you have of dealing a ton of damage, as long as luck and or probabilities on your side. Then if the game state is looking like Exeggitor's in danger of a KO, you can use Teleport to put it right back on the bench, getting a free switch at the cost of ending your turn. But you'll see how beneficial that can be once we get into the rest of the lineup, which we're going to do right now. Let's look at some eggs. Execute's Hypnosis can be useful early game if you're having to start the game with Execute, but hopefully you're not. Exeggitor is a Pokemon that you want to get on the bench so you can start stacking those energies. Not necessarily right away. There are plenty of lines that this deck can take in the early game, but stacking energy on Exeggitor is one of the things you're going to be doing in the background of the early game. Even if you do have to start the game with an Execute, hopefully you're able to quickly evolve it into an Exeggitor, attach a Psychic energy, and teleport back to the bench so that you can get a more defensive Pokemon in the active position like Scyther. There are no grass energies in this deck, so you're not going to be hitting that Swords Dance / combo. It's going to function almost like a Porter deck where you are teleporting from the active position back to the bench to put Scyther in the active position so it can absorb damage. Then you free retreat it back into Exeggitor that still has a bunch of energy attached to it, and you attack for a big explosion. Mr. Mime is going to be your major line of defense against Arcanine and other decks that go extremely hard, extremely fast, or even just starting off against a Mewtwo that you know is going to get the ball rolling very quickly. This deck really wants to take its time, and Mr. Mime will support that against those explosive style decks at least. Now Ghastly is going to be our counter to other Mr. Mimes because Big Explosion's not going to do anything to an opposing Mr. Mime, so Ghastly's in here to help deal with that, but it also has energy conversion to get some double colorless energies back. Big Explosion is based on energy attached, not energy cards, and so double colorless is going to get you 2 coin flips. A lot of those energies attached to Exeggitor are going to get flicked. When Exeggitor is knocked out, a lot of energy cards are going to the discard, and Mewtwo is here to clean up. Mewtwo loves having energy cards in the discard. Solid core lineup of Pokemon here, allowing for good attack options, defense options, and utility. Lots of great play options early game while you set up your Exeggitor for some key big explosions. As you may have guessed, we are starting off this trainer lineup with... Are you sick of it yet? Because we've got 3 more videos in this series, but you get it by now. It's just an all-around great card to let you dig through your deck, but not digging too deep. You do have to be careful not to deck yourself out in these methodical, long-lasting games. But we are looking at a full playset of Professor Oak just to increase the odds that you're able to have access to it early game, get your resources quickly, before slowing down and meeting the pace that this deck wants to move at. Also, sometimes you get hit by a last that absolutely destroys your hand and you just want to top draw into an Oak. A couple copies of Computer Search in here just to help you get those cards that you need the turn you need them. Fetching out those Mr. Mimes whenever you see a big threat across the board, or fetching out a Ghastly whenever you see a Mr. Mime across the board. And like any deck running Mewtwo, this deck doesn't mind to pitch a couple of energy cards to the discard to use Computer Search. A couple copies of Pokemon Trader as well, just because there is a diverse lineup of Pokemon here. An easier option to use to grab Pokemon out of your deck when you already have Pokemon in your hand that you don't want to use quite yet. Item Finder to cover you on the trainer side of things, recycling those key trainers out of your discard. And then we're going for full playset of energy removal. You want the opportunity to stack as many energy as you can for a big explosion, preparing for the right moment to move Exeggitor into the active position. You're going to buy yourself some more time to do that if you are discarding your opponent's double colorless energies, but also their normal basic energy per turn as often as you can. In addition to that playset of energy removal, we're running a couple copies of super energy removal as well. We're going to have a lot of energy on the board, so you might as well take the chance to utilize that in your more pressured moments to try to clear your opponent's side of the board. And you don't mind chucking in energy. Mewtwo is not the only thing in this deck that's going to help you get energy back out of the discard. You're doing a lot of energy discard. Whenever your Exeggitors are knocked out, you're losing a lot of energy, so a full playset of energy retrieval is also going to be necessary in here. Energy retrieval is going to be more of your late game savior, so it doesn't matter if you hang on to them in your hand. You really don't mind seeing it get shuffled back into your deck from an early game last. Yours or your opponent's. Your opponent's going to be running a lot of energy removal as well that you don't want them to use, so you can force them to shuffle it back in, buy yourself as many early turns as possible. You just have to be a little strategic when you're playing your own lasses to affect your opponent, making sure that anything that you have in your hand you're not going to need on your next turn, making sure it's a resource that you're going to be able to draw back into or that you don't even need for a while. Once your key Pokemon for your matchup are in play, your main focus becomes energy per turn. Everything on top of that is just helping to manage the game state to make sure that those energies stick and that you're able to utilize them, firing off consecutive big Eggsplosions. The 3 copies of Gust of Wind will make sure that when you do fire off those Eggsplosions that they are getting you KOs, if the coin flips allow it. A full playset of double colorless energies to help maximize those coin flips, and then the rest of the deck's going to be filled out with Psychic energy. If you're feeling frisky and you do want to fully utilize Scyther, you can add in a couple grass energies, but I tried it out. I found that the deck didn't really care about them being in there, as Scyther was more of a tool to just utilize for free retreat and damage sponging. If I ever wanted to attack, I could just free retreat the Scyther into a Mewtwo and do more damage, and so the grass energy was really just in there for no reason. This deck isn't explosive by any means, even though you are using Eggsplosions, but it's not overly control-y either. The main purpose is to set up big explosions and take KOs, but it's really all your lines of support in this deck that allow it to function and do what it wants to do. You could argue that Mr. Mime, Ghastly, and Mewtwo could win games on their own, and sometimes they will, but one thing that those decks tend to lack is a big, dumb late game finisher. You grind through all this gameplay and still the most you can do is 40 damage on your turn. Exeggitor serves as a great resource dump to just do on turns where you don't have anything else to do, and in a controlling metagame that can be pretty useful. Now, is the tree top tier? No, but it can perform at that top tier level given the right matchup. It gets a ton of support from those psychic type counterparts, but Big Explosion is massively held back by the fact that you don't have guaranteed damage. It can be fun to flip 8 coins to see how much damage you're actually going to do, but if you're being truly competitive, then you really just want to know how much damage you're going to do. That being said, this could also be a factor that leads your opponent to underestimate how much damage potential you have with Big Explosion, so it could go either way. I like the card, and so I'll give it a pass, but generally I hate flipping coins in this card game. I even like that little crab in the artwork. What's that little crab doing there? Crabs don't exist in most Pokemon canons. I've been meaning to do a video on real animals in the Pokemon worlds for a long time, but I still need to work on that one. As always, let me know down below what you thought about the deck. Let me know what changes you would make to it, whether the Pokemon lineup or the trainer base. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're looking forward to the next one as we continue this series. I'll see you then. Bye-bye now.